Hello, my name's Billy and I'm 28 years old. I only got married to my husband Carl 2 years ago, but his mother Helena and I have had a pretty rocky relationship to say the least. Thankfully, a chance encounter with a childhood friend saved my life from my mother-in-law's evil scheme. Let me introduce you to my relationship with my husband Carl. Carl and I met at a bar. It was a classic right time, right place situation. We hit it off pretty well that night and exchanged socials where we began to talk almost endlessly. I remember we used to even stay up until 5 a.m. just texting each other. Our relationship remained unlabeled for a while because neither of us was looking for any commitment, but eventually we found ourselves getting more and more attached to the other, so we decided to just make our relationship official. We dated for around 2 years before tying the knot. While my relationship with Carl was amazing and pretty smooth sailing, there was one hiccup: his mother, Helena. Helena was a force to be reckoned with. Whatever she wanted, she got, even if she had to get it by hook or crook. While that was an admirable quality, it was not when you put it in the context of her trying to get rid of me. Helena never approved of me from day one, and after Carl told her how we met, she disliked me even more. I don't know why, but she had it in her mind that I was an attention seeker who was after Carl's money, even though I made 2 times more than Carl did. Anyways, she was never subtle about her dislike for me. She was always rude and insulting, although she did make sure to always do it behind my back. She would purposely try to hurt me in little ways, like sticking her leg out to trip me, or she'd purposely spill either ice cold or really hot drinks on me accidentally. At first, I did think all of those things were accidents, but after a while, having a drink poured on you at every meeting tends to feel like more of a coincidence, so I approached Carl about it. "I don't think your mother likes me." "What do you mean? My mom loves you." "Well, she's tripped me 1 too many times." "Nonsense, even you have to admit that you're a little clumsy most times." "Sure, but she's also poured a lot of drinks on me, all of which have been extremely cold or extremely hot, ever. Every single time I've met her." "I don't know about that, but I can tell you that my mom is very overprotective of me, and maybe you're just amplifying things because you're upset and she hasn't fully approved of you in the way that you wanted." "I don't know. It's very odd, to say the least. But if she really doesn't like me, would you stand up for me?" "Of course. But I'm telling you, she just needs some time. Just bear with her shenanigans for a little longer and she'll come around." "All right, if you say so." I couldn't bring myself to believe what Carl said immediately, but I believed that he knew his mother better than I did. So I gave it my best shot. I made sure to always do my best and behave my best whenever I was around her. I made sure to take over something whenever I went over, and I never spoke unless I was spoken to. Of course, I felt like a woman from the 18th century, but I was willing to do anything to get Helena to approve of me. One day, Helena called me out of the blue. That was very odd because every time she needed to communicate, she would call Carl and never me. I quite literally jumped when I saw her call. My heart raced as I picked up the phone. "Hey Helena, everything all right?" "Oh yeah, of course. I was just calling you to see if you're free this weekend." Yeah, why?" "Great. I was thinking maybe we could go out together." "You want us? As in you and me to go out together?" "Yes, I know. I've been giving you a hard time, but I want to make up for it." Of course. Where will we be going? And at what time?" "I was thinking we could grab lunch at 1 in the afternoon at Savant. That's my favorite restaurant of all time." "Sounds fancy." "Oh, it is. So you better dress well." "I will. I'll see you there then." I couldn't believe that Helena had wanted to go out with me. I mean, yes, it was weird, but all I could think about was how my hard work was paying off. Regardless of her being mean to me, she really did need time to come around and warm up to me. I was ecstatic and even bragged about it to Carl. He was happy that the two most important women in his life were finally getting along, and that he no longer had to stand in the middle of both of us. The weekend couldn't have arrived faster. I waited all week for it. I even planned my outfit the day Helena called me. I made sure to look my very best while still maintaining some casualty because I didn't want to seem like a try-hard. I had worn a beautiful pantsuit that Carl assured me Helena would approve of. When I arrived there, Helena gave me a once-over and scoffed. I didn't know if she approved or disapproved, but I figured anything was better than her yelling at me for not dressing appropriately enough. Once inside the restaurant, we were quickly seated inside and we were assigned a waitress. The waitress that served us looked oddly familiar. As she walked to our table, I couldn't help but feel like I knew her, but I couldn't quite place my finger on how. Then I saw her name tag and it read Daisy. That's when it clicked in my brain. Daisy was my best friend growing up. We were neighbors when we were growing up. Our families were close because of us. There was nothing that I did that she didn't, and vice versa. We were both only children, so we were like sisters to each other. It became common for people around us to assume where one was, the other was going to be there too. But when we were in the 7th grade, her dad had gotten a better job opportunity in the neighboring state and they had to leave. I still remember just how much the both of us cried when we found out. The entire month before she left, we had sleepover after sleepover at my place. She practically lived at my place while her parents packed to leave. And in those days, accessing a telephone was not that easy, although we did keep in touch in whatever way we could. Eventually, though, our lives got different. I made new friends, and so did she. What little contact we had dwindled down to nothing, and that was it. I used to reminisce about us from time to time, but as the years passed, I sort of forgot about her. But then, there she was, working as a waitress in a high-end restaurant. When she approached our table, it seemed like she recognized me too. We gave her orders, and I wondered if it would be rude to get up and excuse myself to go talk to Daisy. After all, that was the first time Helena had been nice enough to actually invite me to some place. Before I could even bring it up, Daisy came to our table again to cross-check our orders. In the process of doing it, she spilled some water on me. She profusely apologized while dabbing away at my pants before leaving a note there. I looked at her in confusion, but she just bobbed her head subtly in the direction of the note. While she was still dabbing at my lap, I discreetly read the note, and it said, "Come to the washroom ASAP. It's urgent." That only made me more confused and concerned. I decided to go to the washroom as per her note. I excused myself and made my way to the washroom. I waited there for about 2 minutes before Daisy walked in. She looked through all the stalls to make sure that none of them were occupied and then came back to me and hugged me really tight. I was surprised, but hugged her back too. "Hey, Daisy, it's lovely to see you again. What's been going on?" "I would love to catch up with you, Billy, but there's something I need to tell you." "What's wrong? Is everything okay?" "With me, yes. With you, it's not going to be. I couldn't just drag you away from your table, so I left you a note." "What do you mean by it's not going to be okay with me?" "Well, the other day I was on shift when the lady sitting in front of you came over with her friend. She's my mother-in-law, and that was probably her best friend that she walked in with." "Holy crap. That's your mother-in-law?" "Yeah, why?" "Okay, so I'm pretty sure it's you that she was talking about, but I was just trying to be extra careful about any other woman she brought along with her to this restaurant." "What in the world are you talking about?" "Right, I overheard her talking about poisoning her daughter-in-law's food with something she's allergic to. I'm sure if she has another daughter-in-law, but I'm warning you, just in case, run." Wait, are you sure it was her?" "Yeah. Hold on, I secretly recorded the entire conversation while I cleaned their table. I put my phone in my shirt's pocket and went about cleaning as slowly as I could. Daisy whipped out her phone and scrolled for a little while through her photos before finally finding the video she wanted to show me. And just like she had described, there was Helena and her friend Betty sitting and talking. They were talking about how I was a disrespectful daughter-in-law and how I didn't know how to take care of either myself or her son. Helena was even bragging about how she had been tormenting me for so long just to put me in my place. She called me pathetic for doing whatever I could to gain her approval, which really stung because she was my mother-in-law and my husband's mother. Of course I wanted her to like me. Anyway, she carried on talking about how she planned to test me by adding some finely crushed peanuts into my food while I wasn't looking, just to see if I would recognize it. She also thought that it would be funny to make a scene about my allergy because she thought I was just saying some bogus. Watching that video shook me to my core. First of all, I knew she was referring to me because she had only one son and one daughter, so it wasn't hard to guess that I was the daughter-in-law she was referring to. Secondly, I have a deathly allergic reaction to peanuts, so much so that I can't even have any form of cross-contamination or I will go into anaphylactic shock. It was appalling to see Helena talk about it in such a casual manner, especially talking about triggering it, which could potentially kill me. I thanked Daisy for the heads up, and she assured me that she was just doing her best to protect another woman, but she was glad that she was able to help me. We exchanged phone numbers, and I told her that I might have to use her name to get out, and she told me I was clear to do it. I gave her a generous tip and made my way back to our table. When I got to the table, Helena looked impatient and upset. "Where have you been? My goodness, you look like you peed your pants." "I know, I met the waitress while she was on her way back to her station and she apologized, so at least she was sweet about it." Ugh, these waitresses don't know a thing about customer service. No, it's okay, but I think I'll have to leave and go back home. My pants are way too wet and I feel really uncomfortable." "Nonsense, just sit down and we'll carry on." "I'm really sorry that I have to bail, but the AC's up pretty high and I'm feeling really cold. I don't want to get sick and I would much rather go back home." "Wow, you're really going to leave the one time I've extended a hand to get to know you better?" "I know, and I feel really bad, but this was something completely out of my control. I'm going to have to leave right now, but you go ahead and enjoy your time here." I left after saying that. I drove back home immediately, but before I reached it, I stopped by a gas station and texted Daisy to send me the video of Helena talking about her plan. She replied almost instantly, and when I had the video saved, I drove back home. Carl was obviously surprised to see me there because he had seen how excited I was, and I ended up coming home way too early. I didn't actually say anything to him, although I did rush straight to the bathroom to take a hot shower. I wanted to get whatever happened off of me. I was scared that Helena may have put the crushed peanuts on my clothes or in my hair, just any way to harm me if her plan failed. I scrubbed myself down thrice, and when I was done, I threw my clothes into the wash. After which, I once again scrubbed my hands clean. Carl just stood in the corner and watched me clean myself like a maniac, but didn't say a word. He just waited until I was done so I could explain to him what had happened. "Do you want to talk about it now?" "Yeah, I'm sorry, I was just paranoid." "What on earth were you paranoid about? You were out to lunch with my mom." "Well, I happened to run into a childhood friend who works as a waitress there." "Oh, that's nice. Is that why you're paranoid, though?" "Kind of. She spilled some water on me and asked me to meet her in the washroom because she had something important to tell me." "That's odd. Turns out she wanted to warn me that your mother wanted to harm me." "What? Are you sure that it was my mom? And even if it was, are you sure that it was you?" "Well, I'm the only daughter-in-law she has, so I'm pretty sure it was me." "How did your friend know about this?" "Helena had gone there with her friend and they were discussing the plan. My friend happened to be their server and overheard the entire thing. And you're going to take the word of a friend you used to have just like that? No, of course not. But she did manage to record the conversation, and I have it with me here. I played the video for him, and Carl's eyes got wide. He was just as appalled as I was. At that point, he realized just how bad his mother had always been treating me. All those times that I told him about her absurd behavior and he brushed it off came crashing into his mind. Not to mention, he had been there once when I got hospitalized after I had consumed something that had peanut traces in it. That experience alone was traumatizing for him, and to find out that his mother had planned to put me in a similar situation was jarring. He apologized to me a lot for his past behavior, and of course I let it go. I knew where he had been coming from. After all, who could ever imagine their own mother trying to actively harm their spouse? We talked about his mother's plan for a long while and concluded that it would be best if we never met her in person ever again. We didn't want to risk her trying to hurt me again. Of course, that night, she called Carl to complain about me being indecent for running away. Carl, we need to talk about your wife. Yeah, we do. Oh, so you have something to say too? Absolutely. I knew it. But let me go first. That wife of yours is beyond disrespectful. You know what she did today? She left early? Yes, exactly. I had taken time out of my busy schedule to try and actually spend some one-on-one time with her, and that's what she did. The audacity of her. I'm telling you, it's high time that you leave her. If she can't respect your mother, is she really worth it? Why would she try to respect my mother when my mother tried to poison her? Excuse me? What? Can't act all high and mighty now? What are you talking about? I didn't try to poison her. Right. That's why I have a video of you discussing how you were going to mix crushed peanuts into her food with Aunt Betty. That was not real. We were only joking. Joking or not, that was a sick joke to make. I'm glad. Billy was informed about it and got herself out of the situation fast. Neither of us wants you to visit us ever again. We can chat and video call, but that's about it. If you show up to meet us anywhere, we will release the video and get a restraining order against you. Goodbye, Mom. Carl cut the call with that, and let me just tell you, it was really liberating to have him stand up for me. He was able to tell Helena all the things I wished to have told her from the start. Helena did try to call and text us again after that, but we felt like we deserved at least some space from her for a little while. We spent the next few months living blissfully. Carl still kept trying his best to make up for his ignorance, even though I assured him that I had already forgiven him for it. Helena, of course, did keep calling Carl, and every so often he would pick her calls up. Of course, she would say nothing but insults against me. She would tell him that he was being disrespectful towards his mother by listening to his wife's lies. Of course, he would never listen to what she said, and he would always make up some excuse to hang the phone up. Initially, we were skeptical about Helena listening to our fret, but for months, she did only communicate via calls and text. Just when we were beginning to let our worries subside, Helena decided to come over. You see, Carl had gotten tired of hearing Helena insult me, and in the process, he too, so he ignored her calls for around 2 weeks. She did not like that, and she decided that the best course of action would be to show up at our house. She rang our doorbell incessantly and kept yelling for us to open up. We tried to ignore her, but eventually the loud ringing of the doorbell started to give me a headache, so Carl opened the door to her. She shoved him aside and stomped into the house. I tried my best to stay as far away from her as possible because she really did look like she was really angry and ready to cause harm. I did not want to be caught up in that, but I was also curious to see why she had come over. Mom, what are you doing here? Didn't we? Don't you start with me, Carl. I'm your mother, and I have a right to know about what's going on in your life. Sure, but you've never actually asked me what's been going on in my life. All you've been giving me are your unsolicited opinions on my wife. They're not opinions, they're facts. Look, I'm sorry I ignored your calls, but you need to leave now. I'm not leaving until your witch of a wife comes here and apologizes for defaming me. Defaming? She didn't do anything like that. How can you stand up for her against your own mother? I didn't at first, but then I saw the proof and I couldn't side with you anymore. So get out, please. That proof is fabricated, like I'd ever tried to put crushed peanuts in her food. Like I said, I don't care that you were joking. It's still highly suspicious that you invited her out to lunch after years of her trying to get into your good books, right after you made that joke. She's just an insolent baby who constantly wants attention. I know in my gut that her allergy isn't real. I'm going to ask you to leave once again, or I will get the police involved. Helena refused to leave. She kept yelling that I was a family wrecker and that she'd make me pay for it in the worst possible way. I was crapping my pants with how scared I was. Thankfully, Carl called the police and they escorted her away. We also filed for a restraining order because we never wanted to be close to her again. Helena did not stop trying to tell the cops about me being evil either. It hurt to see her do that because I didn't even do a thing to make her feel that way. We did end up getting a lot of backlash from Carl's relatives for villainizing his mother, so he put them in a group chat and sent them the video of her planning to poison me and told them about my deathly allergy to peanuts. Everyone apologized after that and redirected their anger at Helena. Helena didn't take well to that either and blew up our phones for defaming her again. It's been a hectic few months dealing with all this, but we've decided to move on. We've blocked Helena everywhere, and we've decided that we want absolutely no contact with her going forward. I also got back in touch with Daisy and made sure to thank her profusely for what she did for me. We've since hung out a lot, and it's almost like we're back to what we used to be back in the day. Everything's looking good for now, and I feel like things are only going to get better from here on out.